I don't know what it is, but like I go to the airport, every once in a while, and I get security checked pretty often. How do you feel about that drink? He just tried a new. What? You don't like it? You don't like it?
No.
Why not?
So sweet.
It has no sugar in it.
No sugar?
Look at it.
No sugar?
Look at it. It has no sugar on it.
Yeah, okay, liars.
It says no added sugar.
Okay, but you got a Niaxin vitamin.
Okay, anyway, he didn't like the energy drink that he's drinking, but I personally like it. Anyway, so when I go to the airport, I get randomly checked very frequently. And I'm just wondering, is it because my last name is Khan? Is it because I look threatening?
That's a good movie.
It is a good movie. Have
Watch
you
that
watched
movie.
it?
Of course, in theaters.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, with my mother. I cried twice.
Is it because I look threatening?
Yeah.
Is it because I'm a female traveler sometimes, solo traveler sometimes? I don't know.
Any female solo travelers stop them.
But anyway, when I was coming home from Dubai the other day, because I had a layover there from Bangladesh, my brother got checked. My mom got checked, our boarding passes. They checked mine, and they were like, oh, stop. Go off to the other line.
Okay.
And here, my brother and my mom, they're like, oh, no. And they're, like, passing through.
Yeah, that's
happy.
what they're saying. No, my daughter.
They're trying to be so sad, but, like, they're gone.
Okay.
They can sit down. Whereas they take me to a private line, and I'm waiting my turn. And I feel bad for, like, the person that's checking because I know she doesn't want to do it. It's not like we're happy to be there. She's not happy to be there either. But it's also, like, you didn't have to go through all my stuff, right? So she went through my luggage, and then she opened up my pockets in the luggages. She opened up my iPad.
Did you have anything in there? Like
I
any
had
like Sour Patch Kids?
Nothing, absolutely nothing in there. But it's like, what were they trying to find?
Yeah, maybe, just some like.
But like, why me all the time? Like, why not my brother, who actually does look threatening sometimes?
Your brother looks like a graduated first grade.
All right, yeah. But anyway, and then when I was going to New Orleans the other day, NOLA, I got not security checked, but like I got a little pat down.
Okay, I hate to break it to you, like everybody.
No, my friends didn't. My friends didn't get one.
So you feel like you're being like targeted?
I feel like I'm getting targeted.
There's like a warrant out for you, like across
all
like airports around the world.
And I got, like, you guys probably know the story when we talked about it in one of the episodes, but I also got very hard security checked in Germany, where I missed my flight because of it.
Yeah, I remember.
Where they took out my straightener and they're like, what is this? And I know you have that in Germany too.
Yeah. It reminds me of when I went to Iceland, like my second home, like when I had
second home?
there. I was like
the one that you've actually
never 50 minutes long. They checked me, and I feel like I've told this story, but like I get it. Like I would check me too. Like if I was traveling, what am I doing on Iceland Air? Huh?
What were you trying to find? You're probably trying to just smuggle in like chicken nuggets or something.
Some foreign objects from America. Anyways, did you like learn anything from like?
What am I gonna learn from that?
I don't know. Do you have like a moral of the story or something?
There's no. Are your moral of the stories ever good?
Yeah.
At least I can pass through.
Do you have a conclusion so we can like transition to the beginning of our podcast?
No conclusion.
No
it's
conclusion.
Just, like, it's unfortunate sometimes.
If you see Mo in the airport, just know she's having a bad day. Probably.
Like I'm trying to rush to my flight, and it's like I get checked.
Okay. Do you want to like keep talking about this? Like you want to? I tried so hard to just like put an end to it. Anyways, welcome back to our podcast. Podcast about different South Asian narratives. It's a podcast and it's called Difficult Dish, and it's with me and my co-host.
What's your name? Your name is with me. Who's you?
Well, yeah, obviously it's me, Mash.
It's very obvious. And obviously it's me, Mahua Khan, your favorite.
Before we get any further, like the video.
Yeah.
If you're watching on YouTube, like the video. You see the fits?
We're matching.
Wait,
were you trying to copy me?
No, I wasn't, but I realized like a couple minutes ago.
You realized that I changed
We're matching. We're on camera right now. If you're just listening to the streaming or on Spotify, Apple, whatever, we appreciate you. But like, check us out sometime.
Consider it. Sometimes people watch us while they're doing errands,
doing
their chores, or homework,
you could cast us on your Samsung TV, and just like as you're studying for your chemistry final, you just put us on there. It'll help you concentrate.
Yeah,
Hopefully.
really. Our chaotic asses.
Rate the podcast, review the podcast, all
Yeah,
that
you know
stuff.
the drill. You know the drill. By now.
Yeah. What's up? How
What
are
are we
you?
talking about?
Oh. Okay. What are you drinking today?
Today I'm drinking a poppy watermelon flavor. This is currently a hit for me. Usually I like the cola, which is still number one for me, but I've been liking the watermelon.
Do you want to talk about like, feel me like your recent shipment?
Oh
or-
yeah. I got a recent PR shipment from Poppy. It was probably one of the best days of my life. And I was so excited because like I had stalked the Poppy stories. I mean, I'm not gonna get too much into it, but
Okay.
I had stalked the Poppy stories, and I saw other people receiving their boxes with their drinks, their new bathrobes, and things like that.
She's
And
getting
it- And
Just
long
told
story
us
short, I
that.
wasn't getting anything, so I was a little upset. But then turns out, I finally got a big box of Poppy, and then they sent me a few more
Wow.
because I think they saw how excited I got.
just like that.
So now I have a whole row in my little apartment, my little New York City apartment size fridge, a whole row of Poppy.
whole thing. How many do you got in total? Like 3 dozen?
I mean,
Something
right
like
now
that.
there's only about 3 in there.
Yeah.
But
I'm helping her out.
I have
by
to
the way.
refill. I
I'm
have to
helping her
refill.
out. Take those down and stuff.
Yeah.
Um,
But anyway,
Anyways,
our
what?
episode today.
Yeah. Also, we have like some weird lights coming in, shining in.
Yeah. Hope you don't mind.
Hopefully, I don't bother you too much.
Yeah.
What are you
But
talking
today's
about
episode, I thought of it because I was in Bangladesh. I was going through the villages in Bangladesh where we were looking at the students that we provide scholarships for. And I had this realization, this epiphany, because when you are going through any village really, and you go back to your hometown or just like an area that is very much different from like where you live, especially in America, and you go to another country that is considered maybe a third world country, even though honestly a lot of them are thriving. Obviously there's disparities everywhere. But anyway, when you go to like a small town like that, right, you see a community, you see a different way of living, and it just really makes you think about how privileged you are, how grateful you should be, how different things are, right? And just how simple life is in those small villages, those small towns, but how happy those people are for the most part, you know? Like when let me paint a picture for you, right? Like when I was going through these
paint it.
villages, we were in this van traveling with this whole group, this whole team of people, and we were like one of the only operating like vans in that area. And obviously they have cars there, they have things like that, but mostly it's like rickshaws. They mostly have like, they have vans there, but it's not like a car. Like I don't know explain it. It's like a wheelbarrow kind of like
yeah.
that's what they call vans. So they don't really have like actual operating like vehicles like ours. So even that alone was like a culture shock for a lot of them. They were like staring at us because they're like, what the hell is this car doing here? Again, they have things like that there, but the place that I went to, it's not as common. And when I was going through these villages, just driving by, I quickly just saw their houses, which are basically just like huts. And it's made out of hay, some of them are made out of like clay, and they're just very like traditional, like olden times, the ones that we've seen in like, you know, shows and things like that, and even what like our parents lived in when they were younger. A lot of them are plowing the greenlands, right? Like they're plowing the whatever they're farming. They're also like on, I don't even know, like they're also just like walking to school, or they're putting their clothes on the drying rack outside, right?
Yeah.
Or, you know, it's just like a very simple routine that they have every day, and it's like very laborious work that they do, where it's like they wake up before sunrise, probably they go home after sunset. They have this very specific routine that they have to follow. They're not making that much money, but it's like good work, you know. It's very hard sacrifices, very hard work that they do, but that's like what they're used to. That's what the only thing they really know, you know. And obviously many of them have dreams to come to the main city of Dhaka in Bangladesh, or come to America and have a better life. But, you know, the life over there, it makes you appreciate what you have over here. And it also makes you appreciate, like, especially my dad, who does work, you know, in taxi and things like that, which isn't as hard for the most part as like plowing and like farming and things like that. But it is still very hard, right? So just seeing all these things in the villages just made me really grateful, but also appreciative of these people that do like make up the country and make up such a big percentage of like what people live like, you know, like actual hard, genuine work. It just put a lot of things into perspective. Like I saw so many goats and like chickens and cows just roaming around. There's so much hay there just for the animals. And the kids were just so happy. Like they were genuinely so happy. It felt like like our generation before phones and things like that,
Exactly.
where they were just happy to be playing with like dirt,
Yeah.
or like wheels, like
Yeah.
random wheels. And I'm like, damn, this is like nostalgic, even though obviously I never lived like that in the villages or, without technology. But for the most part, when we were growing up, we didn't have like smartphones. We didn't have like things like that. And it just reminded me of like when I used to play before sunset, like with my friends out in the, in front of my house.
Yeah.
It's just very nice to
I
see.
wish we got to spend more time in the villages. I also went
Yeah.
to my mom's village. I just went for one night. You were there. You were at the Thule for 2 nights, right?
Yeah.
I was at my mom's village for one night, and the whole first day I was just really sick, so I couldn't even do anything the first day. But I had the same feelings, man. I really wish I was able to stay there for longer and like, be less of just like a passerby kind of like viewer and more of like a try to like live like that for like a couple days. And like, I was blessed to like have Wi-Fi and like I had AC where I was staying, but like majority of that village and it was Comila. Most of like that neighborhood in Comila, like they don't have AC, they don't have lights. Like it was just like a lot of like lanterns and
Yeah.
stuff like that. And I just wish I was able to spend more time over there. And yeah, man, like you were saying, like I would just spend the day, like I went on a walk in the morning with one of my cousins, and we just walked through like some rivers and like some I forgot what they're called, but like the plots of land that like there's like they're kind of like in a body of water, but like it's like farmland, but it's like kind of marshy.
It's like wheat.
Huh?
Wheat.
No, I'm talking about like the plot of land. Anyways.
Oh, okay.
And I'm just seeing like every morning everybody's just kind of like in the river, just like kind of like swimming around or like taking a shower or doing their laundry or hanging their laundry. And it's like, and you see like some kids just like chasing each other with like sticks, and like, it's less about, they find a way to be happy with so little, and it's more like, they just, you almost feel for like how they just don't know what else is out there.
Yeah.
It's like I'm coming here with all these like, oh my god, these kids are so happy. But like to them, it's just like it's just like that's just
life.
their day.
That's what they know. Yeah.
They don't know like what. This is such like a simple realization, but like when you're in there, that's all you're thinking about. How like, man, like y'all don't know. Like I'm coming here with all these worries and all these stresses about I gotta pay for this and I gotta post this and blah blah. But it's like
it seems like super obviously this is our life, and like it's what makes us who we are. We don't know anything different, right? But when you do put yourself in other people's shoes and experience that, it just makes it feel silly when you do have to worry about the things that we do worry about, just because we have more opportunities, we have more things out there that we do have to like think about. But I don't know, just like putting yourself in those shoes, it made me think about our generation now versus other people in other countries that do live like that versus like our parents' generations. And if we complain too much or if we are too soft, and this isn't us picking a side, right? Like obviously this is more of like an open conversation and just kind of us talking about our thoughts and like our reflections, because I don't think that we are that soft. I think we have like
like there are things that are justified.
Yeah, where there's things that's justified. I think we have like more of like a say in our own lives, But I think again we should always think about the other side as well. And even when I went to Dhaka and stayed in like the main city, that was like the majority of my Bangladesh trip. We went to like a bunch of different clothing stores and stuff, obviously, to shop. And I think I even texted you this, but like the shop owners that are there, they have to work like, all the time. Whereas, I mean, that was a realization for me. Obviously, there are a lot of jobs where people have to go in and work these hard labor jobs, including my father in America. But it made me think about how, for me, like if I'm feeling sick or if I don't feel like going to work, I don't have to. Yeah. I work from home. And I don't need to, like, even if I was working a 9 to 5, I can just call off for the most part, Whereas a lot of these owners and these food workers or shop owners, whatever it is, they don't really have the luxury to just like call off work, because their families are like depending on them, but also it's just like the business is also depending on them, for like even a lot of like shops for food, like those hole in the wall type of places in Dhaka, It's so crazy. Did you see those places? Like some
course.
of the, obviously, again, we're not talking about there are very luxurious spots in Bangladesh. We're not talking about things like that. But for the most part in Bangladesh, there are a lot of stores that are very small and they're kind of like in a corner. It's like very hole in the wall, very narrow. And there's only like one or two people really operating it. So I'm
Yeah.
thinking like, oh, if they don't feel like coming in that day, that store is just like not open.
Right.
You know? So it's like despite what's going on, you have to kind of put your own health and mental aside and just get through the day and then do it again the next day and things like that.
A lot of the time, the people that are working these jobs, they don't have that say,
Yeah.
and they don't even think of free time as a luxury. It's just like free time is just like it's not attainable for them.
Yeah.
You know, it's just something that like you don't bring up work-life balance to these people,
Mhm.
because it's like, no, like they're working this hard and they're still not even making ends
Mhm.
meet. You know, so like who are you to tell them that they need to chill or like they need to take a day off or something?
That's
you know?
why in our last culture shock video that we recorded, we talked about asking for alone time and how that's like considered like a bad thing. If
Yeah.
you do ask for alone time while you are in Bangladesh, it's very looked down on because it is such a like collectivist type of culture where people hang out together, they all
Yeah.
like do everything together. So if you do want time on your own, it's kind of bad, right? But on the other end of it, it's like, yeah, we conditioned ourselves to kind of do things alone or kind of pick our own schedule. But I don't know if that's necessarily a bad thing. I think that's just like us believing that the alone time and like our own schedule and like routine is also important to us on top of like family obligations and like a more set structure routine. Whereas like obviously they didn't have the privilege to do that themselves,
Yeah.
but it's like because of their sacrifices, whether it is our parents, whether it is like another generation or like, you know, the people I'm talking about in the villages that I don't even know. But, you know, because of people like that, we are able to kind of see what is important to us and like what we should kind of be better at, which is like putting ourselves first as well, you know?
And that's why like a lot of time our parents have the merit to say that, like, you know, we owe them for allowing us the opportunity to have a work-life balance, to like not have to work 12 hours a day, 7
Mhm.
days a week. You know, we don't have to. We can make a good living working, you know, whatever type of job you're working. We don't have to have like that strenuous like effects on our body and like that zero like balance in like what you enjoy and what you don't enjoy, like, because a lot of time our parents, and that's what causes a lot of arguments like growing up with your parents, is because like they only know this type of way of life, and we're here, you know, going to school with all of our American friends who have American parents, and they're telling, you know, we're communicating with them and they're talking about their lives, but like at home we're hearing this thing. And you know, that's what brings like a lot of disconnect between like us and
Mhm.
our parents, is like, you know, we want to hear them, but it's like when we're not with them, we're hearing the exact opposite, like
Yeah.
at school or at friends or like outside or whatever. And it's
Mhm.
like, you know, I feel like that's what creates a lot of distance between like us and our parents growing up.
Isn't it so crazy how like a lot of our parents came to America or came to the West, like completely dropped their whole lives, completely left behind everything that they knew
Facts.
to come to a new country. And
what?
obviously a lot of them did grow up with the idea that America is for the opportunity, you're gonna have a better life for yourself and for your kids. So a lot of them wanted to, but also there's a part of you that doesn't want to come, right? I know people that like did not want to come to America because their friends, their whole life, their university, they're leaving everything behind, you know? But like I think about if I was put in that position, I would automatically say no if I didn't want to do it, you know?
Why am I gonna leave?
It's like, why would I leave
for my future kids?
Yeah.
I don't even know.
Yeah, exactly. Why would I leave for my future life that doesn't even involve me as much, you know?
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. I feel like our generation has the ability to say no and put our foot down for the most part because we don't want the lives that some of our parents lived, or like, you know, the lack of options, I guess, because we have more options and we kind of like learned from their, not mistakes, but you know, we learned from like what they weren't maybe happiest with.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's a bad thing. Like obviously there are some things that like we should be able to say no to, and I don't know if that makes us soft.
Yeah.
Right? And like even on top of that, I remember like my mom would always say, I mean my mom kind of goes too far with this sometimes, but like my mom does not like medication, right?
Yeah, facts.
She doesn't really believe in like the Western health.
Yeah, take a walk.
Yeah, just take a walk if you're depressed, right? But some things, like obviously you need medication for if you have like heart disease or like diabetes, like you're gonna die without it, right?
You know, like
But you know, growing up, she had like South Asian, like Ayurvedic, like medicine, right?
Mhm.
Very like natural benefits and things like that, and you know, like leaves to help you, like tea,
of
whatever. But you know, back then, like for the most part, it worked, right? She had her legs like ripped open by accident by a knife. They didn't believe in medicine. They gave her like some sort of like thing to knock her out for a little bit, but she was awake. Like I was like, you didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
But I'm saying like now we have like something to knock you out if you're going through surgery, right? We have the ability to take medication for our depression or anxiety or health or our mental health, right? Whereas they didn't have even the time or place or even thought to think about mental health, you know? But, you know, does that make us soft from
You know, it's not
wanting
even that they're not thinking about mental health. It's like a lot of the time they know that they're kind of
They're going through it, yeah.
But
They're
they
going
just
through
like
it.
they don't even think there's like not that they don't think there's a remedy to it. It's just like like thinking about a remedy isn't allowed type of thing. Like a lot of the time our parents know that they're messed up in the head. You know, a lot of the time they know that it's more than just like the stress of the situation or stress of life, like, you know. And like, yeah, I think like, you know, a lot of us will complain about how our parents don't understand our like how we're feeling mentally. But, you know, if you spend the time, and of course this is situational, but I've learned that like if you spend the time to try to have like that serious conversation with their parents, a lot of time it'll unlock something from them that maybe they've been wanting to hear like their whole life. You know, maybe
like healing their inner
maybe
child.
they've been wanting to be validated for how they felt by hearing you speak about something that is going on with you that, you know, it's probably parallel with them, you know. So I don't know, just like a thought, but it's something like I think about a lot. Is like a lot of time it's not them not understanding, it's just like
they just didn't have anyone to like talk to it about with.
Like they needed
guidance,
someone. Feel me? Obviously. But
yeah, I think it's very interesting that the old, like the boomers, will call this generation soft because we leave jobs, like we leave a 9 to 5 if it doesn't serve us, or we take medication when we're going through it, or, you know, we say no to more things. But at the end of the day, like I get that they had less opportunity to give up or say no to things because, you know, they didn't have like the option to really leave their job or whatever it was. But I feel like since we do have more of an opportunity to say no to things, or because we do, but we say no to things because we have more self-worth, I feel like. Like, obviously, I'm not going to want to spend 40 years in a job that I hate and spend more than a majority of my life doing that job just because it's bringing in a stable income instead of me pursuing, like, something that would make me happy and then even make money, you know? And I feel like a lot of parents or people don't understand that.
They're like,
but also, it's hard to have that perspective, even though I'm very adamant on that perspective. Like, obviously, do what you want to do what makes you happy when you do see things like that in the village, because it's like they don't have room to like pause. They don't have room to give up, you know.
But yeah, I mean, let's get into it. Do you think
let's get into it.
Do you think
the hell were we doing this whole time?
Halfway. Is our generation too soft? Are we too soft? What do you think? Are we too soft? No,
I don't think we're too soft. I think there are definitely some things that are too easily given to us.
Yeah, facts.
Like, for example,
yeah, give me.
Like, sometimes when you go to a psychiatrist and you're telling them about your ADHD symptoms or depression symptoms or whatever it is, instead of them actually giving them your feedback, obviously I'm not talking about every single psychiatrist, but there are many that are like this because America is very fueled by, you know, like healthcare prescription culture and obviously capitalism, like consumerism. So, you know, them without them giving you any diagnosis, like any proper testing, they'll just prescribe you a medication. And I feel like it's sometimes, like, obviously sometimes you may have very hardcore symptoms where you need this to function and just be happy and live. And I get that.
But most of the time,
But sometimes you want that option, but you have that option given to you automatically without trying any other option or just seeing if that's even the case for you. But yeah, sometimes I feel like we are very accustomed to having things at hand. Like if we're going through pain, automatically let's take a Tylenol. Automatically let's take
Facts.
some pain relief, whatever it is. And obviously if you're bleeding out and you need the pain relief, like take it. But I'm saying without you even letting like a minute pass to see if it will pass naturally, we are very automatically conditioned to take that medication.
So we don't want to wait. We don't have patience. We
Yeah.
Don't
Those are my thoughts.
wow.
Your thought?
Yeah, generation's way too soft.
Oh wow.
We're too soft.
Wow.
I'll get into that, but first I wanna defend.
You want to defend the generation?
Like I wanna talk about maybe some things that are justified.
Okay.
With how our generation feels. I think one thing that's important to recognize is that this whole talk about is this generation too soft is talked about every single generation.
Yeah.
People that were parents in World War II and raising kids in the 70s, calling them soft. 70s and raising kids in the early 2000s, they're soft.
Mm-hmm.
That, like each generation has more. This talk happens every single time. And whether they're true or not, this discussion isn't brand new between our generation and our boomer, like our parents, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I think in a sense we have to talk less about like is the youth changing or is the world just changing? I think because like the youth is gonna change with the world. But it's the world that's evolving.
That's
like
a quote.
We didn't ask for the information era. We didn't ask for the internet, but the world changes. Things happen. Things come.
Put that in a poem. That's a good one.
For me. And I think one other thing that I mentioned before is the fact that there are a lot of things that we may deal with that our parents don't understand, or we just have difficulty having the conversations with our parents. And a lot of people will tell you, our parents will tell you that we're being dramatic, it's not that serious, blah blah, whether they're true or not. But I think they gotta understand that, like I said before, we're hearing one thing at home, we're hearing another thing outside, and with the two ends of what you're hearing, like in both your ears being so vastly different, it's gonna bring you confusion. It's gonna bring you like uncertainty, and it's gonna bring you questions about like, yo, is this real or not? It doesn't mean, so if your parents are saying, grades are super important, but outside all your friends are telling you blah blah, like it's not important, like you're gonna come to ask yourself like, how important is this? Do I need this? What is this useful for? Blah, blah. And when you're asking your parents those questions, they're going to take it as like, oh, you're this generation, they don't understand, blah, blah. But no, you're just kind of being like inquisitive. If you hear God is real, God is not real, you're going to ask questions. Is God real? Is God not real? And a lot of time when you're asking those questions, it makes it sound like you're taking things to heart, or like, you're feeling too deeply about things. You should just accept that this is life and accept that blah blah, where it's like I feel like with our generation we're very inquisitive. We ask a lot of questions, and I think we have the power to do that because we have access to whatever we want in the world. And whereas like before, in past generations, they didn't have the power of like open dialogue. You couldn't talk about things openly. You couldn't talk about social issues openly because there wasn't easy access to like the argument. It was just like whatever your community says. If your community says abortion is wrong, who are you to go against that if you don't have access to the other side of the argument like we do today? So and our parents are going to see this, like see all this questioning and all this rebelliousness as like, we're too soft, dramatic, blah, blah. Where it's like, no, like we're just
questioning.
We have access to so much more information that they didn't. They had to get a pass to the library, go to the library, get a book, find exactly what page, blah blah. We can just Google anything, So, I think that confusion happens. To
like networking, like other people,
and
experiences. Whereas if they are stuck to their own community, if you are in this bubble, you are stuck to those views. Whereas now we have social media and we have other people from across the country or the world that we can talk to and just see different, ideas and thoughts. In real life,
It's like if you're living through like like the early 2000s through like the Iraq war, and like the only information you get is like from watching CNN or like the news. That's, you don't know what the other side is.
Yeah.
You know, like internet isn't big at that point. Like you don't know what's happening. Like, but now, like with any sort of issues that's happening in the world, we have easy access to all, like, you know, sides of what's going on, and that just creates a lot more open dialogue and makes us just fight back more, be more rebellious. You know, so I think that gets confused with softness a lot of the time. But given that,
oh yeah, now is a real hot take, huh?
No,
hot take. This generation is too soft.
I think we're really soft. You know, I think a lot of us are incredibly spoiled. I think a lot of us are very unaware of the blessings that we have. Unaware. Don't know the blessings that we have. I'm not even comparing this to kids in Bangladesh. I'm talking about, you know, kids in America.
Yeah.
Bro. Like this is a story I want to say.
Do I know the story?
I think you know the story.
Okay.
Yeah. One day I went to a Popeyes in Queens, right?
You love bringing up Popeyes. You know,
I
people
love-
refer to you as Popeyes boy.
Who report?
I always get a comment on my
You just
YouTube.
made that up.
No, I always get a comment on my YouTube videos
Is
from
wa-
the same
wow,
person
Popeyes boy.
saying, "Oh, Mashoon didn't get Popeyes in this video."
All right, relax. Don't let me find out who you are, bro. I had Popeyes like 3 times in my life. Whatever.
All right. Yeah. Right.
I went to a Popeyes in Queens one day, right? Because I saw that they had, you know, like a deal on Uber Eats. It was like you get free wings if you spend $15. I had to, you know. She likes Popeyes. It
No,
wasn't just
don't
me.
bring me
I got
into this.
Popeyes.
Don't
I
bring
got
me
Popeyes
into
for
this.
both of us.
This
She
is
wanted
all
it.
for you.
I wanted to, but she wanted. It was for her. It was her fault. I went to Popeyes in Queens, and I walk in, and there were like 3
That's how those deals get you, huh?
I can tell my story.
All right, go ahead.
I went to a Popeyes in Queens, and there were 4 Bengali women that were working at the restaurant. Right, there was one at the counter and 3, you know, preparing the food and stuff. And I go in, and Uber Eats said my order was ready, but they lied. My Uber Eats, my order was not ready, whatever. So I show the lady, and she says it's not ready, blah blah. So I'm waiting like 20 minutes, right? And in these 20 minutes, I see this Bengali woman at the register go from speaking English to Bangla to Spanish. Then she whipped out the Portuguese for the Brazilians, and then she whipped out either Hindi or Urdu. I'm not sure which one, but one of those. 5 languages in the span of like 15 to 20 minutes, and exceptionally too. Like not like beginner. Like had the accent sounded great, right? And the whole time I'm there, I'm witnessing this. I'm like, man, like, you know, these types of people aren't on social media. Like we don't see this. Like we don't know that this is a thing. This is one example, but think of how many places there are of like men and women that have to like do these types of things or like commit these types of actions just to get their job done, just to like live life. And like
I'm not getting paid that much.
I'm here complaining about not being able to like learn Spanish or whatever. Like whatever my complaint is, it's less about the specific complaint and it's more about we don't recognize what type of like what abundance of life there is outside and the extremes that some people are going to just to go about their day.
Just live.
This is just merely for her to do a good job at her work. This has nothing to do with how she is as a mother, how she is as a daughter, life at home. This is strictly just like one aspect of life that just opened up my mind so much when I had this. Like I couldn't stop thinking about it on like my way back home, and that feeds into like man, like there's just so much that we don't even recognize that other people go through, and that's like, you know, this conversation. It's so like it starts very simplistic, but it can become so deep and dynamic. Like going from like sitting on the subway or like driving down the street and like, you know, having the realization that everybody is living a life just like yours.
That's called Sonder.
That's
we
called
got
Sonder.
a little poster up there if you can see it.
But
about
it's like
that.
you can go deeper in that. You could be like, oh, like, you know, this person has had to go through this. Like, what have I gone through? How's that compare? You can't compare past, but like in a way you can. You know, you can question like like I sit upon this thing that's happened in my life so frequently. How does it compare to what somebody else has gone through? And of course, everybody has their own thing. I'm not saying that, but to an extent, you can't, like, it's okay to bring like that comparability, to ask yourself like how am I comparable to like somebody else's struggle, and how would I do in that person's struggle? You know, it can never be a 100% equivalent kind of comparison, but like you have the opportunity to ask yourself these things. I think a lot of people just don't even ask themselves because they're so fixated on like what I'm stressed about, what I'm anxious about. I got this going on, this happened to me, da da da. But it's like you don't even allow yourself the opportunity to question like am I okay? Like am I gonna be okay? Like how would I do if I was in this person's life? You know, a lot of people don't even want to take that route because they're just so fixated on like themselves, you know. So I think more of the story, like we're justified for a lot of things, but most of the shit we're not justified for, man. Like so many people are so ungrateful. Like how many spoiled kids do we know? I'm not even talking about rich kids. Rich kids is something, but like spoiled as in like just like given everything that they want, like not having to work for something, like really work for something, and like seeing life is so easy and simple. And like God bless you. I'm happy for you that you can live a happy life, but like please don't think that that's you've experienced all the corners of life. I haven't experienced all corners, but I know I've experienced more than somebody else. And all I hope to tell that person is what I hope somebody who's experienced more than I have to tell me is like, yo, there's more. Don't ever think you're done. Don't ever think it's complete. Don't ever think you get it, because there's always more to get. There's always more to be grateful for. And it's like trips like that to a village is just like accentuate that, you know?
Yeah. I had a friend that traveled for the first time, and I asked her, I'm like, oh, why haven't you traveled ever before? And she said that her parents were undocumented, and she always had like that travel anxiety because of that. Because it's like for me, you know, I've traveled pretty frequently, and I'm like, it's kind of not common nature, but it's like I can easily buy a ticket now, and just go somewhere. And it makes you, since you do it so frequently, it doesn't weigh as heavy anymore. You know, you don't realize just how big of a thing it is for other people that don't do it. So when she said that, it really put things into perspective for me. You know, just simple things like that. It's like if you do have the privilege of traveling more often, if you do have the privilege of sleeping in a bed that's comfortable every day, it's like you got to be more like in the present, more grateful of those like little things that might seem little to you. And also I think we should like open ourselves up to not be so distracted all the time. Like, you know, like we have such easy access to social media and easy access to like turn off our feelings, whether it is with social media, whether it is with drinking or using medication, without actually like feeling those feelings sometimes, and like doing the hard work of like getting better or having better like
for real. So many people just
solving
like,
skills, you know.
People just like be turning on like the YouTube trying to watch like the latest hot ones and shit. And
you don't do that? You don't do that?
Listen.
Can you imagine us on Hot Ones?
Huh?
Hot Ones one day?
Yeah, we do great.
Yeah.
You would get past the second one.
What are you talking about? I can handle spice more than you.
That's not true at all. But like I'm like stronger willed type of thing. Like, you know, like
do you have anything to contribute to this episode?
Yeah, I think one thing that people gotta start doing more is like stop being so like conflict avoidant. You know, because I think a lot of time it's conflict.
You don't do that?
Not because like I think a lot of time it's like it's avoiding not only like problems with yourself, but like, you know, maybe like disagreements or like arguments, or like, you know, if you have a problem with somebody else, so many people are quick to like leave the situation, whereas like a lot of time the stuff that we can learn and experience comes from our relationship and like our interactions with other people. You know, and a lot of time it's like our interactions with not only other people's but like other worldly things that help us grow. It's like, you know, the only way to become a better businessman or businesswoman is to start a business and fail. You know, the only way to
you gotta fail.
Get better at something is to not avoid it. You know, I can't become a great businessman by just waiting for like the perfect business idea to come up and like avoiding anything like bad that can happen. Like, no, you have to face that, because that's the only way that you'll learn from everything.
But as you guys know, we always end off our episodes with a little advice session, talking about some of the responses we got from you guys via our Instagram story. So if you don't follow us there, what do you do when you're missing out on your response potentially being in our episode?
It's your
Make
fault.
sure to follow us on at
It's not ours.
Difficultish. And
It's your
so
fault.
I'm going to pull up some of the answers that you guys sent in, because we kind of asked you guys, do you think that the generation's too soft? Do you think we're not too soft? Why? And, so you guys sent in.
What y'all been cooking lately? Like,
responses.
drop in the comments, like, just like a new dish that you made.
Yeah.
Tonight I'm gonna make a harissa honey chicken.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I'm gonna try it out.
This
I'm
is
gonna
news
let
for me.
y'all know how it goes. But like drop feel me like.
Yeah, drop your
shit.
chef cook recommendations.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
Anyway, so someone said, we're not too soft. We have a mental health crisis and no one can afford anything nowadays. It's a disaster. That's true, though. Because the cost of living has gotten a lot higher. And I feel like since we as a society we've evolved, we have more verbiage for things. Obviously, like autism is a fairly new thing. It only got discovered in like the 70s or 80s. Things like that. There are a lot of new diagnoses. There's diagnoses. There's a lot of new words for feelings that we've had. Even being bisexual was discovered, a lot later than everything else.
There is a mental health crisis.
There is a mental health crisis.
And not having the funds for appropriate treatment, whether doesn't even have to be medical. It could just be therapy or something.
Yeah, it doesn't even have to be mental health.
That is a big contributing problem.
Like, lacking funds to have a basic human life.
It stresses you out.
It stresses you out.
Yeah.
So I guess maybe that's why we have the things that we do deal with. And obviously, every single generation has its own set of problems. And this is our set. So, yeah, we shouldn't be penalized for that, because obviously if you bought a goddamn house for 3 cents in the 1960s and now we got to pay $2.2 million to friggin' live in a hut, like, that's a problem, right?
Yeah, you got my way.
Yeah, what the hell? Like, you have no right to be talking down on us.
You have no problems.
Yeah, you have no
Trust
problem.
me.
All you got to worry about is surviving, like living.
Yo, I got to donate a finger for goddamn accepted
you
for a loan.
You got to donate your heart, bruh.
Yeah.
Anyway, so someone else said, I think we have a lot more competition these days and challenges due to social media. Yeah, I think that is another set of problems. Like, obviously, social media, you compare yourself to other people. We have a lot of different mental health issues because of social media that other people didn't have to deal with in other generations. But again, that's like...
Man, this social media thing.
That's like... I don't know. That's like... Sometimes... If you deal with that, sometimes you can just kind of filter out what you see and like turn it off.
We forget that social media is just it's just like a highlight reel. It's just people are not posting what is going on with them. People are just posting like the best. So if you see this person's best is better than my best, it'll make you a little bit sad about your life. But it's like you don't even know that person's whatever.
Mm-hmm. And then finally, the last response. Yes and no. Mostly no, because we do bring light to important issues, but I think we tend to isolate ourselves too much.
Yeah, victim mentality.
Yeah.
The things that are wrong with you is because of somebody else, or it's because of an institution, it's because of a country, where it's like, we have the power, especially in America, to make whatever we want of our life, regardless what color you are, what height you are, whatever you are, you're capable of getting anything that you want in life.
Mm-hmm.
Mind you, I understand that being a certain type of person can bring you certain challenges, but it's never an excuse.
Mm-hmm.
You can never victimize yourself because of this, I can't do this.
Yeah.
No, it'll make it hard.
Yeah.
But you can still accomplish whatever you want.
Good one, Jit.
Tight shit.
That's a good one.
Feel me?
All right.
Tight shit for Florida.
As you guys know, we always end off our episodes after the little advice response session. A little 10-second advice.
Yeah.
Right?
I don't really got none.
I got one.
Okay.
Mine is, first time that I actually got one. I challenge you to be bored.
Oh.
I challenge you
Yeah.
to really consume yourself in the boredom instead of distracting yourself with the things that you always reach for. Yeah, always the phone.
Yeah.
If you're bored, if you're tired, you're like, oh, might as well scroll a little bit. Let me go through social media.
No.
Don't go for the drinks because you're bored.
No.
Don't hang out with people right away. Don't turn on the TV, like, don't do those things. Just be in the silence. And that will teach you to be very uncomfortable in the beginning.
Uncomfortable.
But the growth from the uncomfortability is gonna come.
Oh my God.
Because you're like, wow, this is what I'm learning about myself. Also, this is a problem that I might have myself where I'm scared of being alone, or
Oh
I'm
my
scared
God.
of like the silence, and you learn so much.
Oh my God. That should really.
And
touch
also
me.
the creativity I feel like flows from
That
that.
should
too.
really touch me.
Yeah, you
That
like
should
that
really
one?
touch me. I'm not gonna lie.
What's yours? Go to Popeyes.
With your plants at your house, don't just like water them, like give them like a cup of water. Like no, like be like a adult and like pick up your plant and like take them to
So
the
I'm
sink
not
and
an
like
adult.
give them like a shot, like a
So-
like the gushul, like in Bangladesh
so-
say gushul da.
So now
give 'em a
he's
shower.
talking directly
Feel
at
me?
me.
Like you got, I know you got sink
but,
sprays.
But he's
I know you got a
pretending-
sink spray in your sink.
But he's
I know you got a sink
pretending-
spray in your
He's
kitchen.
pretending to talk to you
Put
guys,
your
but
plant
he's talking about me.
in the sink and gushul da, like this. You got, if you're listening to the audio right now, go on YouTube. You can see what I'm doing. Go
He's
like
mad
this.
that my plants
Like
were
this.
dead when I came
Go
back
like
from
this.
Bangladesh.
That's my advice. Gushul da. Feel me? Gushul da. Feel me?
Why don't you
Type shit.
gushul yourself? Like,
Thank you guys for listening
Take
to
a
this
shower.
episode of
yeah,
Difficult
let
Dish,
us know your
the
thoughts.
best podcast in the world. Please share your thoughts.
Do you think
Share
we're
your
too
thoughts in the
soft? Do you think
comments.
we're not?
Do you think I'm too soft? I know I use like good like lotion and stuff, but like, do you think I'm too soft? Like, thank you guys for listening.
Wait,
to-
you didn't
to
give
the
an
episode.
emoji. Comment the teddy bear emoji for softness.
And also, what y'all cooking nowadays? That's all.
Yeah.
I need some info. That's
Yeah.
all. Thank you guys for listening so much.
We love you guys,
We
and
love
we'll
you.
see you next week. Allah Hafiz.
I love us.